You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and just like another show, we have another amazing guest. Today, we have a true honor talking about business, but also really about accountability. And I think we have someone that's perfect for this morning to talk to you. We have Robert J. Hunt. He's going to share about not just a book that he co-authored, Nobody Cares Until You Do, but today's topic is going to be about accountability. He is known as the accountability guy. First and foremost, I want to say to you, Robert, how you doing this morning, man?
I am awesome. I had a great cup of coffee and I'm ready for this podcast.
I appreciate you taking time, man. So first and foremost, kind of share with the audience a little bit about your professional background and a little bit about the book that you co-authored.
Yeah, my professional background, I had a career in marketing until I learned about the CEO peer groups that were here in the DFW area. And I fell in love with the idea of helping people remove the obstacles that keep them from being their best, which is my purpose in life, and actually having a job to do that. So for the last 11 years, I've been running these CEO peer groups where we get together every month and we talk about our challenges with real vulnerability and honesty. And I watched those people who were accountable, truly accountable. And they were rocking it. They were having great success. They were enjoying their life and they made really healthy decisions. The other people who tend to want to look good and to save face, they weren't really vulnerable and they weren't accountable and they had lots of problems. And that really led me to the reality that our world needs to understand accountability more in a positive way. It's not a threat. It's a blessing. And if you look at it that way, it's freedom and power and hope. And that's why we wrote the book, Nobody Cares, because really nobody cares until you do. And then when you do, there's a way to make your life way better.
I love that because when it comes to this topic, one would think first and foremost, discipline and just having a structured way of living. For you as a professional and having the rich history that you have being a business owner, what's some of the growing pains that you personally had to deal with in order for yourself to be sharper in those areas?
Yeah, vulnerability is hard. You know, we don't want to look weak. We don't want to look like we don't know everything, but we don't. And that's truth. And why not be honest? Because when you're honest, you can get help. And in our case, my beautiful wife, Kathy, and I in 2019 had amassed $90,000 in debt. And that did not include the house or the cars. And it was killing us. And it caused stress in our lives, in our marriage, in our faith. And it was just a really difficult time. And we decided that year that we got to stop hoping it gets better next year and next year and next year and next year. We got to stop blaming the world and God and our economy and everything for our problems. We need to own it. And that's the real simple definition of accountability is you own it. And when you take away all the lies that hold us back from really having the life we really want, there's a lot of hope and encouragement and power. So we decided that year that we would sell our home and start over. And we had a beautiful home with the movie theater upstairs and big furniture, entertaining. It was just lovely. But we couldn't afford it. And the business had struggled over the years and it was a really bad year again. And so we were getting worse and worse in debt. So we sold the house in 2000. Actually, we put on the market in 2019 and we sold it in 2020. And then we took the money, we paid off all of our debt and started over. And we're in this house that we rented and we're still here now, 4 years later. But we're having peace and joy and hope and power in our lives because we took something that was making us miserable and owned it.
I love that part because I had someone wise tell me before that there is a point of return and also a point of no return. For you, understanding that there was something that had to be addressed in order for things to get better, how crucial would you say it is for a person to identify the issue and also not just address it, but to follow through and take action on that issue?
Man, that's crucial. So I can't get the word out. Being aware of your issues is the first step. We tend to overlook them. I remember when we were trying to get our debt in debt, I hired a financial advisor who came and was looking at our credit card statements and go, geez, is this how you spend your money? And we're like, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, we hadn't even looked at them because it was so bad. Why even read the bill? Just pay the minimum payment and keep surviving. And I think you need to take a harsh look at your life and be honest with yourself. And so in the book, we put a satisfaction assessment where you declare in your personal life and your professional life how satisfied you are in different areas, your health, your faith, your finances, your relationships, your company, your employees, your financial profits in the business, all those things. You honestly state where truth is. And then you can look at it and go, okay, so now what? And what we tend to do is when we see that results, we blame other people, we blame the economy, we blame the government, we blame our employees. We make excuses, or we say we can't, but we really mean we won't. Well, I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You just don't want to. You're physically able to do it. You just don't want to. If we change the word I can't to the word I won't, it's a very different feeling. And there's no excuse at that point. If you say I can't, everyone's like, oh, poor you. Yeah, you're right. But if you say I won't, they're like, dude, man up, own it, right? It's a different attitude. And so if you say you blame, you make excuses, you say I can't, and then you just wait and hope. And if maybe next year it'll get better. Maybe next year my marriage will get better, even though I'm doing nothing to make it any better. And so when you finally get to that place where you don't like your life and you've declared it and you're looking at it, then the question is, what are you going to do about it? And when you say to yourself, hey, look, nobody cares. Nobody cares if I'm fat, broke, unhappy in my marriage, I can't afford things. Nobody cares until I do. And then when I care enough to do something about it, I gain the power to go change whatever I want to change. And that's where hope comes in. That's where life is exciting because you're not a victim. You're now on a road to a life that you really want.
Someone listens right now and say they may be dealing with that, and maybe they're younger or maybe they're older. I mean, we don't know the case of the situation, but what helped you to say, you know what, enough excuses of what I feel like, worry about my emotions versus worry about what actually needs to be done? What helped you to say, you know what, zero tolerance on my feelings and let's just double down on what we actually need to start doing?
Part of it is you get to the lowest part of your life and, they say when you hit the bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. And we weren't at the bottom, but it was I could see it. And we were pretty close. And I think when the pain of where you are is worse than the pain of where you've got to go, you'll change. And for me, I had taken time to look at my life, and we actually mapped it out on a whiteboard in January of 2019. And we looked at what we want our life to look like. My beautiful wife and I have done this every year. We spend time really looking at our lives and where do we want to go? Because if you know where you want to go, you just got to work backwards, right? You just got to make a plan. And we looked at what the life we really wanted, and we weren't living it, and we weren't satisfied. Well, we were finally, okay, let's do something about it. So I think it's that pain point where you just go, I'm tired of having a life I don't like. And so the vision of the life I really wanted, which is a beautiful marriage and a great relationship with my kids and a relationship with God where I'm not angry at God because he's not doing everything I want him to do. He doesn't work for me. He doesn't give me enough money. It's not God's job to give me money. I mean, God's given me millions of dollars in my lifetime and I've squandered it all. Why would he give me more? And so I just look at this, stop blaming, stop making excuses. We need to own it. And I think it was just that place where we just felt, I want that life. I'm going to go chase that life instead.
Once again, listen on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Robert J. Hunt. You go to his website, refdallas.com. We are talking about being accountable, the guy that is known as the accountability guy. And also, let's dive into the book, Nobody Cares Until You Do. What are some golden nuggets in that book that people can use to say, you know what, this is where I am realistically, but this is where I hope to strive to be in the future? With some wisdom points in the book that can help people understand that once you start caring a little bit about where you are, then you can kind of see progress later on.
Yeah, in the book, we put the satisfaction assessment, which is the foundation of doing it. If you don't want to buy the book, you can go online to nobodycaresbook.com and you can take the assessment for free. We don't ask for your information. We're information to you, but you be vulnerably honest with the truths in your life. And then you can see where you're at and you can see whether you're blaming, making excuses, saying you can't, or waiting, hoping. And if you decide that you want to change something, the book also then walks you through the journey of how to fix it. So when you said nobody cares, I got to own this. Then you take stock of where you're at. You acknowledge the reality. We acknowledge the reality. I got $90,000 in debt. I got a house. I could sell the house and pay it off. And the next part of that journey, and that's the next chapter in the book, is embrace the suck. That, it might suck to have to sell your house and start over. It did suck. And it was embarrassing, and to have to admit to our family and friends and my clients that I made really bad decisions as a business owner and I'm broke. That's embarrassing. You don't build confidence as you're trying to get new business by telling how broke you are. But I had to own it because that's the bad decisions we made. And so you start acknowledging reality, you embrace the suck. And frankly, if life's going to suck as a victim, I'd rather have it suck in the journey towards the life I want. Because a victim, you're going to stay a victim and you're going to be in that and it's just going to suck. But if I make a plan and it's a bummer and it's hard and it's a lot of work, but I'm going to where I want to be and I'm not going to be a victim anymore, it's worth the effort. So you embrace the suck, then you find a solution, which in our case was getting a real estate agent, getting the house ready, putting together a financial plan, having a budget. A budget is a thing that you write down on a piece of paper, how much money you're going to spend, for those who don't know what a budget is, because most people don't have a written budget. And then you make a plan and you make it happen. And that's exactly what you do, step by step. That's why we wrote the book, is because I don't think people really realize where they're playing a victim in their life. They just are used to this. And when you become aware, now you need a way to get out of it. And so we outline this in the book. Here's where the traps are, being a victim. Here's that moment where you own it, when you say nobody cares. And here's the plan to change your life. And it's a workbook. It's very clear to follow.
And speaking of traps, we think of time management a lot in business professional world, but in what ways can we utilize time management in our personal lives so that we are not just trying to be professional when we're out in public, but actually being effective in our private life?
I think that's one of the reasons why people need to understand time management, is because if you're going to be accountable, you can't make excuses. And so what happens when you show up late to a meeting? Oh, traffic was really bad. Oh, today traffic's bad? Today traffic's always bad. What are you talking about? Or, hey, my car didn't start. That car's such a piece of junk. You should have put that thing to death 2 years ago, but you don't want to spend money on that because you got all your other stuff you're spending money on. So your irresponsibility with your cash. So all the things that we do that keep us as a victim. So time management is one of the easiest ones to own. And I work with business owners and CEOs who are super busy. They've got to run their business and have a family life, and it's very daunting. And so for them, they take home those concerns every night. It's a lot. It's a weight they carry. If you don't manage your time right, you end up making the decision with what's left over. You fill up your life with the things that you want the most, chasing the life that you really want. And then everything else gets in or it doesn't get in. But at least you've got the important stuff in. And with time management, I am able to do more in less time, because I'm not wasting time doing stuff I shouldn't be doing anyway. Especially as a business owner, there's so much responsibility to the goals and the activities. You need to be disciplined with that. But you'll only do it when you see a vision of the life you really want and you're willing to focus on doing that.
And when we think about our core mission and our life purpose, what are some ways that people listening can align their personal life and their professional life with that main focus on their mission and who they are as a person?
Yeah, I don't think there's a separation between work and personal life. I think it's just one person going to different places. Like I go to a grocery store, I don't become a different person. When I go to an auto mechanic store, I don't become a different person. Why do we have to become a different person when I go to work? And if you have a job that forces you to be something you don't want to be, you should quit that job and find another job. And don't say I can't, because you mean I won't. And so when you look at this choice that we make about aligning our personal and professional life against our vision of what we really want, you have to understand you have the freedom to do that. You can do that. But what we say is, well, I can't because I can't afford it. But you can afford it if you're willing to live cheap. We sold our house and started over. We still have one car. She just took it when she went out to the door a minute ago. And, we share a car. And sometimes if I got to go somewhere and she has a car, I Uber and go where I got to go. But it saves us close to $1,000 a month between car payments, tolls, gas, insurance, all that stuff. $1,000. You can live a lot by saving $1,000 a month. And so all the things you think you can't do, those are just lies. You just may not be willing to. But if you want the life you want, if I want to be a dude who makes pottery and only sells like 12 vases a month, I'm not going to make a lot of dough, even if they're really great. But if that's my passion and my purpose and my vision and I have joy in it, adjust your lifestyle to chase the life you really want. If you live a lifestyle that requires a certain amount of dough just to survive, you're screwing yourself on purpose. Don't do that. Create the vision of the life you want, adjust your life around it, and then you have joy and life is fun. I think that's why we get stressed, is because we try and fit everything we want and have a purpose and passion that lights us up, and you just can't have both. You got to compromise. Chase the purpose and passion. That's more fun.
I love the fact that we talked about discipline in this discussion as well, because I want to talk a little bit more about that. Because when you think about your passion, you think about your purpose and all the fun bells and whistles, right, that comes after the hard work. Sometimes the weight of success can crush us if we are not mature enough to adapt to challenges, because it's fun when the sun is shining, but when the storms come in life, that's when the true test of how bad you want it occurs.
Again, that comes back to knowing your purpose in life. All discipline stems from a start with your purpose. Simon Sinek wrote a cool book called Understand Your Why, or Start with the Why. And the whole idea is, know what you're all about and then go build around that. And so when you know your purpose, it creates a vision of the life you really want. It builds a passion inside of you, and that passion leads to the intentional actions to chase it. Then you have discipline. So if you lack discipline, start up at your purpose first. What is my purpose? Why do I exist? At the end of my life, when I look back, what will I have done that will go, yes, I did it? And if you don't know what that is, go find that. It is easy to find and understand your purpose in life, because it drives everything else you do. How you spend your money, how you spend your time, where you live, what you do. Everything is driven by that purpose. And you can define it. I defined it myself 10 years ago, and I've been living according to that. And it gives you joy because you're doing stuff that is aligned with who you are.
When you look at leadership skills and how one can be influential in their community or in the office or at home, based on everything we're talking about, how does these small building blocks impact a person's ability to have a positive influence and impact wherever they go?
You can't lead well if your life is falling apart. And one of the struggles that leaders will have is, how do I keep the wheels on the bus? And we're overloaded and we don't plan well. So I think the discipline you have towards you owning your life and not being in panic all the time, it will allow you to be a better leader. Leaders have to be able to listen to their employees, to understand the changes coming in the market, to be able to listen to their clients, to watch things and look for trends. But if everything is a reaction to a fire drill, you're exhausted and you never have any creativity. Think back to what it was when you first started your business. You had such creativity. You were so focused. You knew what you wanted and you were chasing it. But then over time, you get overwhelmed with stuff. Like I just spent 2 hours last night updating my QuickBooks to make sure all my receipts were in there so that I could do my quarterly taxes. Well, it's exhausting. I hate that stuff, but it's part of running a business. And the more and more stuff that gets in our way, tax forms, government forms, all the things we do that are just boring, but it's got to get done, it burns up our capacity for creativity. And so if you're not disciplined, if you're not creating skills that allow you for time management, to allow you to stay focused to your priorities against your purpose that you're chasing, you'll get exhausted and burned out, and you'll screw up or you'll quit. But you could have been awesome. You could have had this amazing impact on the world, but because you didn't manage your life well, you ended up getting burned out and quitting or making some huge mistakes. So the discipline of those things is what allows us to lead well.
You've been listening to Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Robert J. Hunt. Go to his website, refdallas.com. He is sharing with us everything that it takes to be accountable. Man, I can't believe time is already melting off the clock so fast. But before we close, I want to address the fact that everything that a person can gain from this conversation is that in life there are pockets of opportunity. And sometimes those opportunities can be once in a lifetime. And if we don't hurry up and take action on the opportunity, it can expire. Touch on that as we kind of wrap up our thoughts. The importance of starting today. It doesn't mean hit a home run, be famous. It just means get the process going.
Yeah, I think that's a topic that's on my heart lately, is this idea of laziness. We really don't see ourselves as lazy. People go, do you know what I do? I got 3 kids. I got a job. I got a sick mom I take care of. I'm not lazy. Lazy doesn't mean you don't do anything. Lazy just means you're not putting excellence to it.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being busy and being productive. And the laziness means you didn't take the time to plan. You know, Monday comes around every week. So why not plan for Monday and then plan for Tuesday and look at your calendar and look at your budget and look at the things you got to get done and be disciplined, because you know, if I don't do it well, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to regret it. I'll have to spend all this time to clean that up. The laziness that we have in not doing the kind of things we know we should do, like flossing or go to bed at a certain time or drink water. These are not hard things. It's laziness. And so if you're overweight, that's because you're lazy. You could just say, make a healthy meal as long as it takes to make a crappy meal. And we're lazy about our finances. We're lazy about our relationships. We don't want to deal with that. And I think laziness has become a societal issue, maybe driven by tech, because life was supposed to be made so much easier because of all this tech we have. Whatever the cause of it is, we're lazy. So if you really want the life you want, stop being lazy. And if you think you're really not lazy, tell someone completely honestly what your week looked like. Give them an hour-by-hour breakdown of how many hours you spent on Instagram, or how many hours you spent watching Netflix, or how many hours you spent doing whatever. And really start looking at the discipline and the skills that you can bring to an equation. And you can have a way better life if you own it. That's the whole beauty of accountability. It's freedom and power and a life that you really want.
This was very timely discussion. I appreciate everything that you shared in this, because if we're all honest, we can all see ourselves in this conversation. There's not one human soul.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a bad, lazy moment or day. And I love the fact that we are talking about the fact that you have to be honest with it. You can't cheat the system. You can't just pretend that you're just most productive person. No, there's areas, if you're honest, if a third party checked in on it, it might be embarrassing. And that's a good thing, because that means there's room for growth. And before we sign off, touch on that last idea. How can a person who's listening to this not just get your books or go to your websites, but honestly just look at their life and say, you know what, if I'm honest and self-aware about where I'm at, then I can actually make concrete decisions to actually push myself to the next level.
Yeah, go to my website, nobodycaresbook.com. Take the satisfaction assessment for free. We don't ask for any of your information. It's all your stuff. But be honest, brutally honest. If you don't like your marriage compared to what it was the day you got married, not what you settled on today, but what it was the day you thought it was going to be like when you got married, compare it to that and be honest. And then go, okay, now why? And start with that. Because the honest truth and reality of where you are will give you the opportunity to own it and to do something about it. And then there are videos that are on our website that can tell you what every chapter talks about. So we're teeing up the idea for you. You can even download a couple chapters if you want and get a feel for the book. And then if you want to dive in and really use it, then you can always buy it at that place. But for free, go in and take the assessment and really become aware of where you are in your life.
Once again, been listening to Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Robert J. Hunt. Make sure you get the book that he co-authored, Nobody Cares Until You Do, and go to his website again. It's refdallas.com. Been talking about accountability. Like always, sir, I want to say thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much.